a very kind introduction. I'm very excited to be up here. I'm looking forward to the coming year. I will say a couple things about John. This has been a tremendous privilege for me just to follow his leadership this year. He's done an awesome job. He's worked unbelievable hours with LeaderCast and the other events during the course of a Rotary year. I can't imagine how many hours you put in, but thank you for all your hard work. You've laid a foundation for me and for this board to follow, and you've done it in a top-notch manner. So thank you so much, and you truly have exhibited service above self over the last 12 months. So, as a token of our appreciation, John, here is a gavel and a plaque commemorating your service to the club as president of Columbia Rotary 2014 to 2015. I was greeted here just about an hour or so ago by a Rotarian, I think, who's been a member a long time, and she looks at me and she says, "Mark, I can kind of see a nervous smile from you, but a big, genuine smile from John." That's no doubt the case, but I thought I'd do three things today. I want to first let you know why I'm so committed to this club and what it means to me. I also want to recognize the upcoming board that'll be serving with me, and thank God it's not just me, because I couldn't do it alone. And third, outline two simple goals, just two goals, so that I can keep up with them. As I get started today, I do want to thank several people in the audience. Certainly my mom for being here. I appreciate it, Mom. Thank you so much, and my dad. You were right, I wouldn't be here without you.
Make sure of that.
That's right, no doubt about it. Thank you both for so much encouragement and support. And I think the two of you were probably obligated to be here, but the rest of my family and siblings did not have to be here. So thank you to all of you for being in attendance. I also want to thank my wife, Fran. She's an awesome, godly woman, and is the glue at our house in more ways than one. In more ways than she knows. In fact, just the last couple days, she was off with some friends over the weekend, and I had my three children just the four of us, and I have a renewed appreciation for all you do. We survived barely, but thank you for all you do, and I sure appreciate your love and support. I am originally from Irmo. I grew up in Irmo, went to Irmo High School, where I graduated in 1994. Then I went on to Wofford, which is, you probably already know that. Graduated from Wofford in 1998. Go Terriers. I am the fourth out of the last 5 presidents to serve this club after Wofford graduated, so kind of interesting. I have a master's from USC in business. I work at Wells Fargo Advisors as a financial advisor, where I've been about 15 years. Fran and I have 3 children, one of which is here today, James, my 8-year-old. Hey, buddy.
Right.
I have 2 other boys as well. Luke, who's 11, he eats and sleeps golf. In fact, he couldn't be here today because he's on the golf course in a tournament. And then I have another son, Grant, who's 4, and he is not quite ready for an event like this. He's still in that restaurant probation stage. He's coming along. I joined Rotary in 2007 at the encouragement of my father, Pat, who's here today, and he began to teach me about all things Rotary when I joined, and really did a good job of connecting me with many people in this club I now call friends. So thank you, Dad, for that, and for all your encouragement in that regard. A little something about me. I don't believe that things happen because of luck. I think things happen because of hard work and by doing, and through the grace of God. And I want to continue what we've done as a club over the years, and serving this community and doing the good work that we've been called to do. So this club has existed for almost 100 years. And that's a pretty impressive stat. And I want to obviously see it continue to grow and continue to flourish. the way that it has. So continue to put your time and energy and your resources into this club. We're absolutely making a difference. Over my 8 years as a member of the club, I've seen you all serve in a variety of ways. Certainly ringing the bell, the Salvation Army bell ringing campaign makes a huge impact. We also have a golf tournament every spring where we raise money. The purpose of that golf tournament is to raise money. We raise $40,000 approximately each year that we give away to people in this community, in this city, to high school students that may otherwise not be going to college. And so we're making a big impact there. I remember also a few years ago on a cold day in March, a bunch of Rotarians, maybe 75 or 100 of us, served beer at the St. Patrick's Day Festival. That was another area of service where I think the money that we raised and earned that day went on to scholarships. And we've had auctions and socials to raise money all over the city. We've sponsored as a club a Meals on Wheels route over the last few years. We have done several Harvest Hope food packing projects. We participated in blood drives. And years ago, I remember when Mac Bennett from the United Way was here, several of us signed up at his encouragement to read to elementary school children that were struggling with reading. That was something done through the Midlands Reading Consortium. It all started here at Columbia Rotary, and that's just a handful of the many different ways we've made an impact. So that's what I love about Columbia Rotary and the reason that I'm a member. We also do a tremendous amount internationally. Certainly Rotary around the world is known for the Polio Plus campaign, and Rotary's been on a mission to eradicate polio from the planet now for 30 or 40 years and making an impact there. Rotarians all around the world are also working to fight hunger, not just in this country, but everywhere. And recently, you probably noticed Rotary International has adopted a clean water goal and continue to provide clean water to so much of the world that doesn't have it. So it's a great organization, a great local club, and I want to urge you all to continue to participate. And we obviously must share service as a common interest. We all must do that. That's the reason we're here. It's probably the reason you joined the club. And maybe the programs had a little something to do with it, but you're probably here because you want to serve. And I notice that in all of you as members. We all put others ahead of ourselves. That's the hallmark of this club. So how do we do that? Well, there's an ancient philosopher named Yoda, Star Wars guy, little green guy from Star Wars. But he has a quote that my children, they all love the movie. I've seen it too many times. But Yoda's quote is, "Do or do not, there is no try." And I've always liked that because I encourage all of you to do. I try to keep that in the back of my mind. Continue to do the good work that we've been called to do. And so, John, I am officially changing the Go Rotary phrase. If you've received any emails from John over the last 12 months, you see at the very bottom it says Go Rotary. That's been a great campaign, a great tagline. We're going to start using Do Rotary going forward.
Do Rotary.
Do Rotary. Let's do Rotary together. That's the plan. I want to take a minute here and recognize the board. So please stand when I call your name. You just saw a lot of those folks, but I'm going to call them out again. Beth Irick, if you'd stand. Elliot Powell. Jack Sloan. Libby Gobert. Robert Goings, he's not here. Catherine Davis. And our President-elect, John Bakis. Let's give them a big round of applause. The President does not do this alone, and without the leadership of this group, we simply would not be who we are today. So thank you so much to all of you. There are several other people that serve in critical roles. John Durst is the advisor to the board again this year. Stephen Creech, our club secretary. Carrie Powers in charge of communications again. Bob Millhouse, our treasurer, and of course, Debbie McDonald, who I just learned today will be working with her 30th president and 30th board. So we thank you very much, Debbie, for all you do. What you notice in this group is experience and longevity in the club. In fact, most of the members of the board have been in Rotary a long time, and that's a good thing. There's a lot of experience there, and then there's some consistency too from year to year. John had 5 of these 7 board members on his board, so it's a great group and a very experienced group. This board has set forth a couple goals this year I want to outline today. First, that we attract 500 guests over the course of the next year. We were successful in that endeavor this year, and we're going to do it again next year. Membership is the lifeblood of this club. We've got to continue to attract new members. And so you'll hear that from me as we go forward. We have to be intentional about asking people to come to meetings. And so when President-elect John Backus has a program of interest coming up, go ahead and reach out to someone and encourage them to come with you. There are 252 members in this club. And so if everyone brings 2 guests, I'm a numbers guy, we should hit the 500 goal. And so that's it. So 500 guest goal over the course of the year, and then also with 252 members each bringing 2 guests, we'll accomplish that goal. Adam Jordan has agreed to chair membership this year. Thank you, Adam. He's got the task of figuring out who we are as a club, what we look like today, and what we want to look like as we go forward. So I thank you, Adam, for that. And in closing, I just want to leave something with you. I want to continue to have this be a fun club. It sure has been for me over the years. If you have an idea or suggestion or something we ought to consider, find me or find one of the board members. It's an opportunity to change and continue to do the good work here in Columbia. And so any suggestion or idea you have for us, don't hesitate to mention it. And then as I close, I do want to call on President-elect John Backus to give us an idea of what's coming up over the next couple of weeks. If John, you'd let us know what's going on.
I want to clarify one thing real quickly. Kurt said that I was a graduate of the University of Kentucky. I grew up in Lexington, and I probably attended more UK basketball games than most graduates have. But I went to the University of Virginia. Those of you who are paying attention to the College World Series, who won the College World Series? Virginia, the other B school. We lost to the other B school last year, but we're able to win it this year. So I was excited for my school to win that championship. But I do want to tell you, one of the things I'd like to try to do this year is to expose us to some semi-controversial issues, some things that maybe are going on in our community or our state that we'd all benefit from knowing about. But also, I want you to know that we have some very good speakers lined up to come who are working us into their schedule, taking time out of their very important business days to come be with us. And I hope that you would honor that gift they give us by being here. Rotary is about being here, being friends, being together, and I would certainly appreciate it if you would make an effort to come show these people we appreciate them being here and giving us a great presentation. The first 2 are next week. I'll remind you we don't have a meeting. The following Monday, Terry Mikulski will be here. Terry is the director of the Savannah River National Laboratory. And you're going to feel like maybe we've had too much Savannah River. It was a coincidence that we ended up with these 2 people right close together, the one we had last week, and then Terry coming a week after next. But he is on a totally different side of that laboratory, and he's the guy that decides how they process the materials that all of us are concerned about that are languishing there at that facility, and more that come in. But anyway, so he'll talk about the processing part of the Savannah River site, and then the week after that, Lonnie Carter, who's the CEO of Santee Cooper. Santee Cooper is a major utility producer or electric producer in our state, and so he will be here the week after to talk to us about what they do. Thank you, and look forward to a fun year.
Thanks, John. To wrap up our meeting today, I've asked past President Hal Stevenson to come up and close us in a word of prayer. And as he does, I do want to just simply thank you all for the opportunity to be up here and to lead the club in the 2015-2016 year. I'm humbled by the opportunity and look forward to it very much.
Thank you, Mark and John. It's been a privilege working with you guys so closely the last couple of years. Really appreciate the direction you're taking us, mostly in a younger direction. We're all going to be at Dunbar tables pretty soon. I can't resist before I pray, just one little rib. Pop, I'm assuming that John got his time management from sugar. That's right. Yes, sir. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, it's always bittersweet when we end one year and start another because it's just a great place to be in Rotary, where its voluntary organization perpetuates itself year after year, where the cream rises to the top and people serve to really serve and be an example of serving. So please, Lord, put that idea of doing Rotary, as Mark's put forth to us, something on all of our hearts as we go forward. Lord, also, as we look at the world around us, we see your hand coming in and touching individuals who are starting to put aside old scars and thoughts and prejudices and things that maybe they just aren't that important compared to the love and service that we can show to each other if we would just do it. So Lord, help the Columbia Rotary Club, as well as Rotary International, continue to be example of service above self, putting others' concerns ahead of our own. As we go into perhaps heated public debate, Lord, I pray that those voices, Rotarians, believers, others that are of goodwill, will speak out about the love we have for each other and not hold on to old things that cause hurt for others. So Lord, we pray we will be leaders, we will be examples. We've just gone through a leader cast in which we've been told really in the end it's about serving others and not yourself. May we be those servant leaders as John has been and as Mark will be examples to us. May we all be in our families, in our businesses, throughout this community. May you bless Rotary in this year, and Mark and his board particularly. Lord, I ask all these things in Christ's name. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Hal. Reminder, no meeting next week. Enjoy the holiday, and go in peace, and have a great week.
You do such a good job at this.
That's so low tech. I'm the last person that should be here.
If anyone has spare dollars, change, you put that is going to aid Alzheimer's research.
Good afternoon. I'm Van Seaton. Welcome to Rotary on this hot, if slightly more bearable summer day. Today we have visiting from Columbia East, Beaver Hardy. Welcome, Hardy. Beaver. If I could ask Adam to help me pass the mic for other visiting guests.
I'm Kirk Johnston, and I have as my guest John's mother, my wife, Lydia Johnston. Lydia, if you'd stand. I'm rushing to pass. I just wanted to make sure that you all were paying attention to your singing. I wasn't paying attention to my playing, and I play the first and second lines third time, and I apologize for that. But I have with me again today my son, Brunson DePatrick.
Pardon me, I guess it's Jeff Knox. I've knocked up here a couple of times. He was film commissioner back during the glory years of filming, and in transition with his position here in the Midwest.
Hi, I'm JT Gandolfo, and it's a pleasure to be back, and I'll introduce this table. I'm not sure exactly who all the guests are, but of course, Mark's mother, Karen Sullivan, Mark's sister, Jenny O'Neill, her husband, Chris O'Neill, Mark's sister and my daughter-in-law, Kelly, and Andy.
And today I'm excited to have the man that signs my checks and president of Gallman Personnel Services, Charlie Gallman, with me.
Yeah, I'm Mark Sullivan. I have as my guest today Frank Manning. Frank's a good friend of mine. He's with State Farm Insurance. Sullivan. I'm glad she's here. And my son James. James is James is an 8-year-old. He's a rising 3rd grader at Brennan Elementary.
Hold on.
Hey, what about your dad?
And I guess I'm just chump change. But he wouldn't be here without me. I'm Pat Sullivan. Thank you.
You missed him, huh? Sorry, you came in late. I'm
John Johnson. I have as my guest today my wife, Ainsley, who's been the true president of Rotary Club for the last 10 years.
Thanks to our guests. Welcome to Rotary and have a great week.
Thank you, James. We now like to turn over to Wes Sigmund for health and happiness.
Good afternoon, everybody. One piece of health-related news today. Doc Weil's son, John, has taken a turn for the worse. We've all been praying for him, and we want to continue to do that as a club, support him and his family throughout this time. So please continue to pray for John. At this point, I'm going to tag team today's health and happiness. So I'd like Kirk Johnston to come up here and join us on the stage.
Hang on, bud. One other, if you would, not only keep Dot's son John in your prayers, but my wife's sister, John's aunt, Sandy Warlick, was admitted to the hospital last night. She's suffering from peritoneal cancer and has really got an uphill battle. So if you could keep John Ryle and Sandy Warlick in your prayers, would be much appreciated. I want to thank Wes for helping me keep the ruse with John today, because if John had known I was going to do health and happiness, I'm afraid some of my material would have been cold to death. So what we want to do, I'm going to take this microphone off and see if we can determine how we got from there in 1980 to soon-to-be past president of the Columbia Rotary Club. So we're going to have a little fun, and we might be serious for a few moments, but the seriousness wouldn't last long, I can assure you. John always knew he wanted to be a soldier. This is taken when he was 4 years old, and you can see that salute. I have to salute him about every time I see him now. And John was always a goal setter and into time management at a very early age. Now that doesn't mean that John was always an angel. We had our times with him. As a matter of fact, this is a picture of John in the 1st grade. My wife Lydia taught 1st grade at the same school John went to, and she actually, her room was right next to Denny Jones, who was John's teacher. Now, to keep the Walford connection going, Denny Jones' husband was Lewis Jones, chairman of the history department at Walford College. So it was right apropos, and this is not a joke, it's right apropos that Denny was doing a lesson one day on professions that are now extinct, such as a blacksmith, a fireman on a locomotive, and she was doing a little review, and this is true. She said to the class, all right, class, can anybody tell me what a miller was? Well, John Johnson raised his hand, and she said, all right, John, what's a miller? And he said, well, Miss Jones is kind of like a Bud Light. So Denny shoots right into Lydia's room and says, I know what your husband's doing at home. So anyway, as I mentioned, John was always, he was into goal setting and time management. Here's a family photo that we took when John was probably about 3 or 4. My mother and father, all the brothers, and that's John in the little red bow tie there. And my mother thinks that John's upset because we put this red bow tie on him. But this picture really deserves a closer look. As you can see that expression on John's face, and he's bowed up. If you knew his son Oliver today, I mean, it's an exact image of this. But John had been told this picture was going to be snapped at 11 o'clock. It was actually done at 10 after 11, so he was expressing his displeasure. It's just, I think it's a matter of timing that the clock, the big clock that John keeps up here, I was going to put a napkin over it so it wouldn't bother me for time, but the battery died today, so we have no clock, so he's not watching it. I'm going to mention 3 examples of goal setting that I think has had a very positive effect. John's accomplished these goals and has had a tremendous impact on his life. Let's see. Let's see, I don't know, Jack, what happened. But anyway, there was a shot of a business card with J&H Lawn Care. There we go. John, in the 6th grade, he and a neighborhood friend, Hank Hill, borrowed my lawnmower and Hank's father's lawnmower. They went around the neighborhood and started cutting grass and taking care of people's yards. And they were very successful their first summer. Going into the 2nd summer, their 7th grade year, they bought their own lawnmowers, their own lawn equipment, and the business grew. And so John had to go into marketing mode. And you might see there no more, M-O-W-E-R, yard work. He was never accused of being a marketing genius, but he really did excel at customer service. When he cut your yard, when they finished, if you were at home, he went inside, he knocked on your door, you came outside and inspected your work to make sure you were satisfied with it. If you weren't at home, you received a phone call that night to ask if everything went okay. About the time they turned 16 and got a driver's license, both of them, they bought their own trailer and really expanded the business. They ran up to 2 crews at one time. They would drive somebody off, drop them off with the lawnmowers, and on to another job. It was just truly amazing to watch this work. And upon graduation from high school, they sold the business for a nice chunk of change that gave him some spending money to go into college and I think helped you with your first car. So, I mean, it was a goal accomplished. John wanted to grow a business and make it successful. So that was his first achievement. This picture's back up. It's just simply, I like it so much I wanted to see a second time. Now, here we are. John is the youngest of 3 children. He's got 2 older sisters, so that translates into 3 mamas. And also our dog was a female, and I just couldn't resist showing you a picture of my old dog, Blue. John came to me at some point in high school, and he said, Dad, do you love the dog more than you love your children? I had to think about it a second. And I said, no, absolutely not, John. I love you all equally. It's just, the dog never wrecked a car, never got a speeding ticket, and it just appears that I love her more. So, anyway, on through high school, athletics played a major role in John's development and really helping him with time management. This group of young boys, I coached most of them since the second grade, and we were very competitive, an outstanding team. We just won the semifinals when this picture was taken in Spartanburg of a team that had beaten us by 28 points early in the season, but never one technical foul from this group. I mean, they were competitive, but well behaved. John also had an opportunity to play for the Spartan High Vikings. His junior year in 1996, they won the third of 3 straight 4A championships, carried a 35-game winning streak into their senior season, and John's goal was to start for the Vikings, and that was a goal achieved in his senior year. We graduate from high school, and off to Wofford College we go. $30,000 a year to play in the mud pit. Go figure. But here we're going to have the second example of goal setting. John went to Wofford. His 2 older sisters were going to Clemson. John came out of the room yelling, "Go Tigers." He went over to Clemson to visit and came back and said, "It's just too big. The environment is too big for me. I need to go to Wofford." And Wofford is truly the 2-for-1 plan. You can send 2 to Clemson for the price of 1 to Wofford. So the solution, John he's decided to take ROTC to see if he can get a 2-year scholarship. He came to me Thanksgiving of his sophomore year. We paid tuition for the sophomore year. And he came to me and he came in the day before Thanksgiving and said, "Dad, I did not get a 2-year scholarship. They didn't award me that." So I went outside, beat my head on a brick wall, wailed a little bit, came back inside and tried to man up and said, "Somehow we'll get you through." He looked me dead in the eye and he said, "They gave me a 3-year scholarship." That year at Christmas, Lydia and I received a check from Wofford College for tuition and books as a payment for that. So that was an accomplishing a goal that was great. And because of that refund, we were able to do a few things for John that we probably wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. One, he took a Knowles outdoor leadership trip down the Snake River from Idaho into Oregon. The interim, his junior year, he was able to take an interim trip to Italy, France, and England. I mentioned this. This is a picture of John with Will Johnson and Thomas Anderson in Paris. This is taken about 2 or 3 days before John turns 21. On his 21st birthday, he's at the Normandy American Cemetery. His friend Will Johnson tells the park ranger that John's an ROTC student, soon to be an officer in the United States Army. The park ranger says to them, "Y'all meet us here at the ranger station at 4 o'clock. And at 4 p.m. that afternoon, John retires the flag to taps at the Normandy Beaches Cemetery. It's, that is an event that you will always remember and stay with you forever. Now on to the third goal. John's still at Wofford. There's a new girl in his life, one that will hold his feet to the fire, and here's Ainsley with, helping John with sit-up. John has met Ainsley at Wofford. They're dating, and I say it's the third goal because John knew a whole lot sooner than Ainsley that he wanted to be together with her for the rest of his life. So he set this goal, and he went after it with a vengeance, and you can bet your bottom dollar that Mom and Dad did everything in our power to make this goal happen. Ainsley, we are so lucky that he found you and brought you into our life. And so we've got ROTC going, a courtship with Ainsley going. We graduate from college on a Sunday afternoon in May. The following Saturday, report to Fort Benning for advanced infantry training. John completes his training at Benning, immediately ships off to Schofield Barracks, Hawaii to be a platoon leader with the 25th Infantry. And as a platoon leader, you have to wear many hats and sometimes ears. Here's a picture of John at Easter. He did his best to hide this and destroy it. And somehow we located it, but it's Hopalong. And they did little, like, baseball cards, and each member had their photo and stats and nicknames, so we were real pleased to find that one. John now goes off to Iraq. Here he is with Josh Bernard before going out on patrol with his interpreters, and you can see the depth of the Walford connection. Even in Kirkuk, Iraq, the interpreters have a connection to Walford College. And here John is with Walt Carton. I believe Walt is here today. Walt? Yeah. John and Walt met the first day at Fort Benning, served together. Their training were with the 25th in Iraq together, and now live 3 doors down from one another. So the Army brought another wonderful person into our life, and Walt Carton, and glad to have Walt as a part of this club. And now to the, arguably beyond the birth of our children, the happiest night of our lives would be February of 2005 when they returned from their deployment to Iraq. It's about 2 or 2:30 in the morning at Wheeler Army Air Base right outside of Schofield, and we're leaving the barracks. That duffel bag that I'm carrying probably weighed 80 to 100 pounds. The lightest 100-pound burden I've ever carried in my life. So after their return, they spent 2 or 3 weeks decompressing on base, and they get block leave and arrive in South Carolina on Friday, March the 10th of 2005. The following Monday, John spoke, John spoke from this very podium and addressed the Rotary Club on his experiences in Iraq. The following Saturday, March 19th, John and Ainsley were married, the culmination of that third goal that I brought up. And this was a picture and an article that was in Henry's Columbia Metropolitan Magazine. So, and that's John's crowning achievement, his family, John and Ainsley, John who is 6, Oliver who is 4. And you all are familiar with the goal of LeaderCast. That was the very first thing John mentioned to me as he realized he was going to be president-elect of this club. And so I'm going to wind it up with Tiger Tales. That kind of winds us up. I did want to say 3 things. One, the club is in great hands for the foreseeable future with Mark Sullivan coming in. Mark has done an absolutely wonderful job with programs, and with that same energy and effort, this will be a great year. John Backus is here. Yeah. Well, the Rotary connection lives on for another year through John Backus. John went to UK and Lexington. He still returns to Lexington, drives up there quite frequently. I-26 takes him right through Spartanburg, so that Walford influence is still reaching out. I want to say 2 things. Lydia and I will be presenting John with his 5th and his 6th Paul Harris Fellow at our next meeting, July the 13th. And I want to read, we refer to the Dunbar table, which was right here where JT was sitting. When I was president, the Dunbar table had 7, if not 8, regular attendees, Diane Chinnis being one of them. After John spoke to our Rotary Club, Ralph Abercrombie came up to me and he said, we want to donate a Paul Harris Fellow to John, which would have been his first. This was written in the spring of 2006. I believe this was typed and given to me by Ralph. I'm not positive of that, but I think so. Just want to read it and I'm done. A few words from the so-called Dunbar table concerning the next presentation. Following Lieutenant John Johnston's presentation to our club last year, we were deeply impressed and humbled by his service to our country. Those seated at our table with more than 95 years of military service, coupled with over 135 years of Rotary membership, and responsible for over 15 Paul Harris Fellow Awards, are very familiar with service above self. Thinking of John's service above self, we thought it would be appropriate if we, the members of the Dunbar group, would arrange a way to present John with the Paul Harris Fellow Award on behalf of our club. Further, we decided that it would be of great benefit to Rotary if the funds necessary could be raised from an outside source, not done with points, but with dollars. This was done within a week, and we are proud today to have his father, past President Kirk Johnston, pin the award on his son John with deep appreciation from our club. Thank you. The one thing I would say as a parent, never turn down an opportunity to say I love you to your son.
Thank you, Dad. As he mentioned, our clock's broken, so I'm totally discombobulated right now. If you are late for a meeting, please forgive us. One thing he did mention was when we did the lawn service, my toughest customer to this day was my grandmother. Whenever I did that inspection, she always had something to go back and correct. We'd like to spend the next part of the meeting recognizing some of our leaders who've helped this year. Debbie McDonald's going to come to the front and help me with this. The first recognition we want to give, and this was done without the two parties planning at all. Neither party knew what was just about to happen or what is about to happen. But my dad has served our club for over 18 years. He's held numerous positions for the club, most importantly as club president from 2004 to 2005, which was exactly 10 years ago today. His involvement in Rotary, the relationships that he's formed, has paved the way for me to be involved in this club, for me to join Rotary, and for me to be involved in the Columbia community. What many members don't realize is that my dad lives in Spartanburg. His office is here in Columbia, but he intentionally plans his schedule to be in Columbia every Monday so that he can attend our meetings and be a part of our club. But his dad is now known as Pop to his grandchildren. Pop is trying to find ways to carve out time in his schedule to spend more time with the grandchildren and his wife, who is now known as Sugar, to all the grandchildren. So in an effort to do that, in the near future, he is going to be transitioning as a member of the Spartanburg Club, visiting us on a very routine basis. So from our club and from me, we have this for my dad, past President Kirk Johnston, an appreciation of 18 years of service to our club. All right, next we would like to recognize our Sergeant at Arms and our board members. And if Jamie Porth and Tom Counts and Bob Diggle would please come to the front. Jamie and Tom are here each Monday. They're the first one here at Seawolves and work diligently with Debbie to welcome our visiting Rotarians and guests. And Bob each week very faithfully sends an email to everyone on our agenda to remind them the role they'll play in the meeting and to confirm any last-minute adjustments. And we'd like to thank you all for what you've done for the club this year and your past year. Thank you. We'd now like to call our board members up, and as we call your name, if y'all would all come and please stand, and then as a club we can thank them all together. Elliot Powell. Elliot oversaw our club property and awards committee. Elliot served on the board for many years. His wisdom and advice and history of the club was very instrumental, and Elliot's become a very good friend. Catherine Davis, who had a very full plate this year, but as all good leaders do, put together a great team. She was in charge of our invocation, our health and happiness committee, and worked with our social committee as well. Jack Sloan. Jack led all of our fundraising efforts, our scholarship effort, our foundation, our cart bucket, and was the go-to Rotarian for LeaderCast. Paved a new way for our club by using Eventbrite and the internet to do our ticket sales. So Jack, we're very thankful for all you did. Carrie Powers, who had to leave today at the last minute for a funeral. But Carrie did an awesome job keeping up our website and updating the events with speaker bios and posting videos, which is something she and Hal were intimately on over the past 2 Rotary years. John Bacus. John is more of a Rotarian at heart than most of us in this room. He truly understands the big picture of Rotary and is sincerely committed to Rotary International's mission. This year he led our Harvest Hope project in our district grant and will serve as our club's 100th president. Hal Stevenson, who served as the immediate past president of the board, made major efforts this year in our recruiting efforts and was always a source of encouragement. John Durst, who served as the past president advisor to the board and was always willing to take a phone call and offer sincere advice and wisdom, which was greatly appreciated. Mark Sullivan, who served as our president-elect and just did an amazing job putting together programs. 4 of those programs were Senator Graham, 2 ambassadors to the U.S., and Medal of Honor recipient Cal Carpenter. And then some of our board members who cannot be here today, Meredith Atkinson, who oversaw our scholarship selection and mentorship program. Robert Goins, who led our membership recruitment committees. We had over 24 new members join our club this year and also played a large role in organizing our social events. Stephen Creech, who served as the club secretary, and this was the first year we split the duties with the treasurer, and he did a great job keeping our minutes and assisting with club records. Is Bob Millhouse here? Bob could not join us today either, but Bob served as the treasurer, which again was the first year we separated the duties of the secretary and treasurer. He took initiative and steps to cut costs for the club and led the board in a campaign to establish a financial policy to address our accounts receivables moving forward. I'd like the club to thank our leadership and board from this year. And also I'd like to thank Debbie McDonald. It was almost like the Wizard of Oz, the one behind the curtain that just makes everything happen. You just have to make a phone call and poof, the reports go to Rotary International or the information we need. And this year when she works with the incoming board and Mark, it'll be the 30th president, 30th board she served with. So Debbie, we're thankful for all you do. No turning back. Now this is the part of the meeting that many of us are excited about. Mark, myself, many of the Rotarians, and many of the guests here. Just a few short weeks ago at LeaderCast, Rudy Giuliani told us that leaders are not born, that leaders are made through their experiences. For the past 5 years, Mark and I have grown together in our leadership and service to this club. Mark's been a confidant, he's been an advisor, he's been a friend, and he understands what it means to be the president, that leadership can be lonely at the top, but he knows to seek advice and to seek guidance and then make a decision and follow his gut. Mark's a man of many talents, but what I've learned over the last few years that most importantly, Mark is a faithful Christian, he's a loving husband, and he's a caring father. Those are three traits that keep a leader balanced. It's been an honor to serve with you. It's been an honor to lead you this year, and this coming year will be an honor to follow you. Rotarians and guests, join me in applauding the 99th President of Columbia Rotary Club, Mark Sullivan.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. That was